Yeah, hello. Unlike MacGyver and Stargate, Game of Thrones is a very serious series, so I don't expect this Q&A to be any fun. Unless you have some funny questions, of course, but yeah, do you have any questions? That's quick.
The first time in Game of Thrones when we see Jaqen H'ghar, he's captured by King's Landing, but they never explain how he got there. What's your theory on how he ended up there?
Actually, I stopped having my own theories a long time ago, because actually when I first came on the show, I sat down in front of the computer once in a while and I checked on fan sites, and because I wanted to know more about Game of Thrones and everything, and there's so many theories around. I have no idea how Jaqen actually ended up in King's Landing in the prison. I think it's very unlike him. So I really hope George R. Martin is going to explain this shit at some point, because otherwise I will be seriously disappointed, like many of you.
I'm sorry, it's not a question about Game of Thrones, but crossing lines. So I was wondering, did it work to shoot in so many different countries through so many languages?
That was actually the cool thing about Crossing Lines. That's what attracted me to the show in the first place. So we mainly shot in Prague. That's where the studios were, and then we would travel around. We went to Bulgaria, Croatia, France, Italy, and that's a really cool experience, because I mean it's basically a paid vacation for an actor, and you don't. I really like traveling, and I've always liked it. So this was the perfect job for me. And you don't actually work every day when you're away. You get your time off, and then you have time to experience the other cities and countries. That's what I really liked about it.
Does it bother you how emotionless your character usually remains?
A man is not emotionless. A man has very sincere emotions. He just knows how to hide them. It's like a volcano, you know? And I'm just waiting for the right moment to erupt. It's my theory, at least. I don't know if that's going to happen, but no, I mean, I know what you mean. It's but I think that's part of the character, and that's why a lot of people like the character, because you are always suspecting that there is more behind the facade than you can actually see. And as an audience, I think you want to look behind the facade and you want to understand the character, and that's what makes him interesting. But he has feelings.
How do you see your character evolve, knowing that for the new seasons they will actually move away from the books?
Well, I mean, I know what's going to happen in season 6. I'm not going to tell you, but because otherwise I would have to put you on my list. Said, what comic is that? Well, in season 6, where you're definitely going to find out more about the whole order of the Faceless Man and the House of Black and White, and how all of that came into existence and how it all started. And I think Jaqen, as a character, he really has to pay attention that Arya is not getting too strong and too clever, because that might fuck him over at some point. That's my personal fear. I have to talk to the producers.
Science.
Hi. Are there many actors on sets that have read the books and are now, anxiously waiting as well to see what's happening because the series is moving faster than the books now?
I hope that there are many actors on set who've read the books. I haven't. I've only read the first two, and then I thought they're definitely too thick. I have to wait for the next long beach holiday to read the other three that have been published. Yeah, but of course we're waiting, and I mean until now it's been the case that you kind of knew which way your character went and what you had to expect. But now it's really open and up to the producers. So all of us keep inviting the producers for drinks, and we're trying to be nice. We give them little gifts so that they let us live.
Hi. I was wondering if you could choose another place where your character could go in Game of Thrones. Where would you go, like King's Landing or Winterfell?
Well, yeah, I think I would definitely like to go back to Westeros in the first place, and then, I mean, me personally, being very egoistic, since I would like to go to Iceland, I would like to make the acquaintance of the White Walkers, if that's possible.
Hi. What's your favorite part about playing Jaqen?
My favorite part, well, at first I thought like this, when I first did my audition, I didn't know anything about the series because I came on in season 2 and season 1 hadn't aired in Europe, so I wasn't familiar with Game of Thrones. And when I got my audition scene, I thought that is the biggest bullshit that I've read. This guy talking of himself in the third person, and I had no idea what to make of that, but because my agent had sent me the scene, I thought, okay, I have to do it. And then I just read the lines and sent it off, and then 3 weeks later I got a call, and my agent said, oh, they're really interested in getting to know you personally, and they liked what you did. And then I sat down and I googled what Game of Thrones was, and then I wanted to meet them as well. And then I've kind of grown fond of his way of speaking, because it permits you to do, or it permits me to remain very calm in my performance, but I can hide little things in between the lines, because the way of speaking is so weird that if you change the rhythm, or if you do something slightly off, then that's already like something mysterious. That's what the character's about.
Hello, I was wondering if as a person, not as a character, you were dropped into the world of Game of Thrones, what would you do or how would you survive? Because there's so much going on.
Oh God, I wouldn't survive long. No idea. I mean, if I had Google Maps and my iPhone with me, I'd probably stand a chance to survive a few days, but no, those were rough days. I mean, it's a medieval setting, and I wouldn't really like to live in medieval times. I mean, certainly not as one of the peasants. I mean, if it had to be, then of course I would like to be some sort of powerful person.
Hi. What other story arc other than your own do you enjoy? Do you follow them, or are you perhaps a bit jealous of these stories arcs?
No, I do follow them. I'm perfectly happy with my story arc because I think it's a great arc, and I really like acting with Maisie. I think she's great, and I know that, very selfish again, I know that she has a lot of followers and people are crazy about her, so that kind of does something for my character as well. Although I have to watch it, I have to say, because after season 2, I got a lot of comments from fans saying, oh, why did you have to change the face, and we want you back, and you're Arya's only friend, and so great what you did, even though I killed a lot of people. And then after season 5, the very same people came back to me and said, how dare you treating her like this? Why are you hitting her? Why are you treating her? And I said, I mean, I'm completely, I'm the same person, you know. I have my secret agenda, whatever that may be, but I offered her this apprenticeship, and if she doesn't do what I want, then of course she needs to be punished. It's very clear, but no, I really like the story arc because it's really developing.
Which member of the cast you play along with do you like the most, or do you like to play along with, or talk to?
Which actor?
Yeah, actor, yes.
I like many of them. I mean, I think we have some really great actors. I mean, considering that most of them were really unknown before they were cast in Game of Thrones, and now they're kind of known by everyone. But I would like to have scenes with Alfie. I really like Alfie, Ellen, and Iwan Rhea. And I also like, I think Peter Dinklage is playing his part to perfection. If I would have to name a favorite character in Game of Thrones, it would have to be Tyrion, because yeah, I'm for the underdogs, but I also like his irony and sarcasm. But maybe Jaqen is Tyrion one day. Maybe Jaqen is Tyrion. I don't know. Maybe Tyrion is just to give you a few things to think about.
Hi Tom. I was wondering, since the series are deviating from the books quite significantly, and the series is also preceding the books now, do you think that the storyline is now more in the hands of the producers instead of George Martin, or is there a synergy, or is...
I know that the storyline is more in the hands of the producers, but I also know that they're collaborating, so they're not doing anything without consulting George Martin, but they're not always necessarily doing what George Martin wants. So, but he has, to my understanding, he has told them the story arcs of maybe 5-6 main characters, or how he intends them to be told to the end, and they're at liberty to invent things around that. But I mean, I think I'm the only person who's really happy that George Martin writes so slowly, because that was one of the reasons why I could actually come back. I mean, imagine if that kindly man in book 5, that's the leader of the House of Black and White, would have been like a really important character in the next book. Then producers probably have decided to take another actor. And like this, they just swapped us, and so I have not a problem with George Martin not writing his books.
Hi, I have 2 questions. The first one is, who do you want to be on the Iron Throne? I mean, which character?
Jaqen H'ghar.
Okay, except for Jaqen H'ghar?
Can't really think of anyone else. It would have to be him.
Okay, alright. And what do you think about Jon Snow's death?
Remind me again, who was that? The guy with the curly hair. What do I think of his death? I think it's very unfortunate. And why did he have to be in the wrong place at the wrong time? That's what I think about his death.
Hi Tom, I have a little question. What's your experience with wearing a wig at scenes and things like that? What's your experience with that?
I'm totally fine with it, and I prefer to wear a wig than let my hair grow long, because I looked like that when I was 24. I looked a bit like Jaqen, and at that time I was with a theater company, and they ended up, makeup ended up calling me in an hour early before every show, because they had to hide my hair under a shortcut wig, or they had to do something with it, and then I said, it's impossible, I have to cut it off. And no, Jaqen's wig is really, I mean, it was, to make it took really a long time. There's like a really famous wig maker in London, and I had to go there 4 times to get, like, they took like some pattern of my head, and then they made the first version of the wig, and then I came in, and then they dyed it, and then they cut it, and then I had to try it on again, and this took forever, but now when we're filming, it's a matter of 15 minutes to take it off and put it on. So I can only recommend it. I mean, wearing a wig is a great thing.
If you had to die in Game of Thrones, whose hands would you love to die?
Is there a sex scene involved? Well, the thing is, the way I see it, I'm already dead. You know, I mean, my face definitely belongs to a dead person. And we don't know the person behind my face. So even if that person died, somebody else could come along and take my face, then it would have to be me again. But I never really thought about it. I'd probably like to die in a sex scene.
So what about wardrobe? Because I heard you talk about the clothes that you wear, that they're not very comfortable, or are they?
Oh, they're very comfortable. They're just a pain in the ass to keep on, because there's no cut to it. It's just like a cloak, and the minute you move a little bit, it slides off your right shoulder, and then you make a step, it slides off your left shoulder. So you have like 3 wardrobe people constantly around you, pulling you, pushing you, doing all kinds of things, and then sometimes you go, Jesus, I need to concentrate on my lines. But of course, I mean, they're only doing their job. So it's not, it's a comfortable costume, but it's not the most practical one.
And do you have a lot of time off? Do you have time for other projects or hobbies when you're not filming?
My hobby is sleeping, mainly. That's not a joke. No, while we're filming Game of Thrones, which is always from July through December, we're not allowed to do other projects, but that's a bit down to the logistics of the shoot, because it's really complicated. I mean, the guy who does the shooting schedule must be a genius, because, I mean, we're shooting in 3 different countries at the same time. It's mainly Belfast, Northern Ireland, and then it's Iceland and Spain in the last season. And there are different units in Northern Ireland, so there's 2 units shooting at the studio, and then most of the time there's 1 unit shooting somewhere in the countryside, and actors and directors are constantly flying back and forth, and so that's why production said at a certain point, okay, the risk that if we allow you to do another production and then we cannot have you when we need you is too big. So while we're filming Game of Thrones, we can't do anything else. For that period of time, I can do other stuff in the first half of the year. That's why I'm here.
And what do you do in the first half of the year besides sleeping and coming to fans?
Well, I just finished filming a German movie. It's called Berlin Falling. It's a road movie, thriller slash crime drama, and that's gonna be in the movies in November, December. Apart from that, not much. No, it's my 3rd convention. I'm really enjoying them. I'm starting to really enjoy them. And yeah, no, it's, at the moment luckily I have a busy schedule. It's not always like this when you're a freelancing actor, so it's, you have times when you don't know where the next job comes from, and but luckily for the past couple of years or so I've been very busy.
You mentioned theater earlier. Do you miss it sometimes, or are you happy that it's TV and movies now and that the theater is behind you?
I totally miss theater. The problem in being in Germany is that we have this repertory theater system. So if you want to do theater, you have to sign up with a company for 2 or 3 years, and then you're exclusively with them. You put on all sorts of plays, and you don't have time to do film or television on the side. And it's a bit, I mean, it's actually something very cool that I like. We have theaters in every little city and they have their own ensemble. But from an actor's point of view, it's tricky to do both at the same time. So that's why at the moment I'm focusing on filming. But I would really love to go back to theater again one day.
What's the most difficult scene you had to shoot and why?
In my life? Or on Game of Thrones? On Game of Thrones, I don't know, it's scenes are not really difficult. The scenes are sometimes boring. No, it's just because if you have such a big production, and they obviously have some money, and they spend on the production, that's what the audiences love, because every department is doing a perfect job, if it's stage design or costume design. But at the same time, that means the shooting is very slow. And so sometimes we do one scene a day, sometimes we do a scene in 3 days. And if you're unlucky and you have like 2 lines in that scene, then you keep saying those 2 lines for 3 days. About a few hundred times, and then it really gets boring sometimes. But I'm not complaining. I mean, just in case the producers are here.
Yeah, hi. Like you said, we don't really know the person behind the face, and you don't know it either. So, how did you start creating a performance around Jaqen? Because, well, who is he, and what do you do with that character?
Well, the thing is, I mean, the books and the scripts are really well written. And all the characters in Game of Thrones are very ambiguous and multi-layered. So, and as an actor, you don't really have to know everything. If the script is well written or the part is well written, then all of the bits and pieces are in there. And one of the first lessons that they teach you in drama school is don't try to act several things at the same time. So one after another. So, and by putting different things next to one another, you get this picture of a character, and by having an imperfect picture, the audience has some sensation that there's something interesting going on, or something missing, or something. So I'm really focusing on what the text is telling me, and yeah.
Is there any other character you would like to play?
Cersei, maybe. And no, I'm really into the bad guys in Game of Thrones. I really like Joffrey. For some reason, because that's probably because I know him personally, and he's the sweetest guy, really down to earth, very humble, very intelligent, sensitive, and then he pulls off this performance, and that makes you hate him. And I thought that's a really great part to play, and he did it brilliantly. Yeah. So, but.
Do you have any fun anecdotes from your days in Game of Thrones?
As I said in the beginning, it's not a fun show. We're not fun anecdotes. it's my most hated question from journalists when they ask you, tell us a funny anecdote from set. You go like, what's funny? Of course we're laughing sometimes, and we have loads of breaks, and we're sitting in the back. Oh, maybe Maisie and I had a competition going on. We both independently started playing a computer game on our iPhones, 2084, like some math game, and then whenever we had breaks, we would sit in backstage and try to beat each other's records. I won.
We only have time for one more question, so.
How many languages do you speak, and which ones?
German, bad German, English, a little French, and being from East Germany, we were forced to learn Russian in school. Everybody hated it, but and I always thought it's completely useless, but it's coming quite handy, because when I first went to England to look for work there, they kept casting me as Russian, and because I could pretend that I'm Russian, so yeah, so I'm happy I learned it. So that's 3.5.
Any final words for your Belgian fans?
Final words, it sounds very... Well, no, I really had a great time here, and when this finishes, I will go into town, because I haven't seen anything of this beautiful city. We had dinner last night in town, and we just walked around for 10 minutes, and I definitely want to check it out. Yeah, thank you very much for coming, and these are my final words.